we acknowledge the First Nations people of Canberra, the Ngunnawal tribe, who are the original keepers and carers of this Australian territory, Canberra. We acknowledge Her Royal Highness Princess Latufuipeka Tukuaho, who is currently residing here in Canberra for further studies. The Deputy High Commissioner of Tonga to Australia, the Honourable Curtis Tuihalangingie. All leaders of Pacific nations who are also represented here in Canberra. Welcome to the Lo'au University Multimedia Program named Contemplation to Antiquity, or in the Tongan Moanan language, Vavanga ki Tupua. Today we have Professor Siosiua Lafitani to talk to us about his new book that is about to be launched later on in the year, called The Contemplative Path for Humanity, Moanan-Tongan Vavanga. So I think today, what I would like to do today before we will start by maybe looking at the preface this afternoon. We'll get the professor to talk about some of the things that he talks about in the preface. This is only the preface, of course, but it'll tell us a lot about what this book is about. So maybe I'll read the first couple of sentences of the preface and then we'll get him to talk and explain what he means. This expansive preface embarks on an intellectual odyssey, dwelling deep into the profound Vavanga theory with its Vafilosika philosophy, its ancient Tongan roots in the Lo'au lineage, and its contemporary significance in Her late Majesty Queen Salote Tupou III's works and cultural generally. Emerging from the establishment of Lo'au University and a pioneering Moanan-Tongan fully online higher education institution, this exploration reveals synergy between Western and Moanan-Tongan philosophies. So central to Vavanga theory is a captivating voyage into the ethos of space, change, and consciousness. This unique perspective elevates space, Va, to the forefront, overshadowing the significance of time, Daimi, but the journey does not end with philosophical contemplation alone. It extends to a distinction between the truth of facts and the truth of reasons, and it strikes a harmonious balance between universal and particular elements, incorporating the profound themes of Albert Camus, the myth of Sisyphus, and Plato's allegory of the cave, the human condition. So maybe I'll stop there and get Siwa to explain or just to talk to us what he means by this wonderful preface.
Thank you, Luseane, and thank you for the introduction and reciting that page. It's my privilege to be interviewed formally and talk about my upcoming book. And because it's a book for scholars and humanity, both respectively, I'm glad for this opportunity that you have organized to share with our Tongan communities and non-Tongan speakers, especially scholars who might be interested in this work, and also anyone, each and every one of you. Coming back to the overview, the whole preface is about Luseane 8 pages, but you have read the overview of the preface, and I would like to touch base on some of those sentences and points that you have read.
And maybe, Siwa, if I could just pop in. In the first sentence, you talk about the Vavanga theory with its vafilosika.
Yeah,
So maybe you can, give the watchers something, what you mean by vafilosika,
yeah.
because obviously that,
By like two sentences and then move to the next two or
Yeah.
three sentences will be easy that way, easier that way. Yeah, okay. The the first few sentences talk about this concept of vafilosika. Yeah? And vafilosika, throughout my work, throughout writing this book and working on this book, is a byproduct of the Vavanga theory, Luseane. It's the baby coming out from the Vavanga theory. And because I developed Vafilosika because in Moana, in the Pacific, scholars in the Pacific, famous seminal scholars, and most, they are approaching in the direction of leaving behind all the, or most of the knowledge from different cultures, especially the West. This is with the view from our Moanan scholars that they are out of date or they are obsolete. We need to study and explain our own because they will be or they are the original knowledge. Eh? So Vafilosika is the opposite of the Moanan outlook, which dispersing around in the Pacific, in Moana. Eh? Vafilosika, I'm going the opposite direction. It's an emphasis on other cultures, including the Western thought. Yeah? I brought them into my book. I brought the Eastern, I brought the West, and also the African, and so forth and so on. And look at them holistically. That's the heart of Vafilosika. Yeah?
so you brought in a worldview.
A worldview. Yeah? Selgensam, as they call it in Germany. Yeah? So, but literally the word va is a Tongan word for space. And philo from philosophy, philosophia in Tongan, and sika from logic or losika in Tongan. So va philosika then is a combination of va space, the idea from Tonga, or the cognition of the Tongans, and also the cognitions of philosophy and logic from different, the West, the East, and the whatnot. So that's what we meant by the Philosika. I'll move on, Luseane, you have read it. I'll move to, I have brought here Lo'au, the Lo'au lineage, the Ha'alo'au and Her Majesty Queen Salote. Eh? Because I brought both of them here because Vavanga, the word Vavanga, were masterminded and engineered by the Lo'au people and our ancient Tongans.
So who were the Lo'au lineage?
The Lo'au lineage were the intellectual lineage in Tonga from the beginning of the Tonga Empire to its end in the 18th century, 17th, 18th century.
Okay.
They were the
Sort of like the
mastermind
thinking
advisors of the kingly lines, the Lo'au. And Her Majesty Queen Charlotte followed and used some of the ideas in her cultural and social reforms. Yeah?
So her Majesty, her late Majesty Queen Salote, is said to be the last Lo'au.
Yeah. His orators, the Matapure, his kingly or chiefly orators, they refer to him, to her rather, they refer to her as the last Lo'au.
Yeah?
Wow. And her reforms, her cultural and social reform by Queen Charlotte during her life was known as the Lo'au. She called it Lo'au. Very important, the lineage and the word lo'au.
So her
that's why
lo'au
I
meaning
dedicated
gets her, it's like an instruction to her people.
the
So
word.
that her lo'au was her instruction. It's like her manual of instructions to her people.
Yeah.
When you say that she had a lo'au,
She had a reform
yes,
of the
yeah.
culture. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
you know, sort of like a manual of instruction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
So, yeah.
because Lo'au composed most aspects of our culture, especially the
Yes.
Kaba, real Kaba.
So this was her reform.
Yeah.
Her last, and she was the last Lo'au with her reforms.
Yeah.
Okay,
we
so
show respect and high respect. That's why I dedicate this book to her.
yes,
Yeah?
of course.
Because I in my dedication, Luseane, I refer to her as the most the most modern Vavanga poet of our time in the 20th century. Yeah? That's why I dedicated this book for Her Majesty. Yeah?
Okay. Right, if we move on to the idea that you've said, central to Vavanga theory is a captivating voyage into the ethos of space, change, and consciousness. The unique perspective elevates space, Va, to the forefront, overshadowing the significance of time, Taimi. But the journey does not end with philosophical contemplation alone. It extends to a distinction between the truth of facts and the truth of reasons, and strikes a balance.
Yeah.
Comment?
And it strikes a harmonious balance between universal and particular elements. Eh? So, Luciana, this that statement that you have read, that's the heart of Vavanga theory. Eh? Because Vavanga theory focuses on space. The importance of space, of Va, in conjunction to change, to Liliu, and also the categories. Eh? The categories, I brought that into the book from Aristotle, Kant, and Anderson's, especially Anderson's view of the categories. But the categories, they are not confined to the words. They are categories that are embedded and inherent in all things. And we talk about the categories in Tonga. The only difference, no one in Tonga wrote a book about the categories. It's not something unique to the West or Anderson or Kant or Aristotle. Eh?
By Anderson, just so that our listeners or our viewers know who you're talking about. You're talking about John Anderson?
Professor John Anderson, the mentor and teacher of Professor Halaevalu, my
right.
mentor, our mentor. Yeah. But coming back, so in the first part, central to Vavanga theory is a captivating voyage, it's a voyage into the ethos of space, change, and the consciousness. Yeah? To taking that into account, it's very important in there. Yeah? Space, change, and consciousness. Because in the whole book we are there with space in Vavanga, in the word Vavanga, and change and consciousness goes hand in hand with Vavanga Luseane. Yeah? We have a word for consciousness, is Laumari in Tonga. Or soul, some say soul, but conscious come back. Which also related to space, to Vavanga, to the word. Vavanga is based on the idea of space, of Va. Anyway, this unique perspective elevates space, and that's the other part of the essence of Vavanga theory. This part of space of Vavanga in Vavanga theory elevates space to the forefront, overshadowing the significance of time. Eh? So in Vavanga theory, there is no significance of time there.
So time doesn't matter.
Time has no place there. I'm not saying here it's my view. That's how the Vavanga word mean. That's how the meaning of the Vavanga word goes.
So maybe we go to the word Vavanga, which is your theory. Can you explain what Vavanga is? Or
Yeah.
even the etymology of the word Vavanga?
Okay. Yeah, my English translation for Vavanga is contemplation. Yeah? So I'll touch on that first. So that's why Vavanga can link to any cultures in that respect, because each culture, Luseane, has contemplation, talks about contemplation. Yeah? But in Tongan culture is Vavanga. So we come like what you mentioned, we come back to the etymology of Vavanga. Yeah? Vavanga comes from three words: va space, and nga. Nga, for me, is situational behavior. Yeah? So that's how you put it. Vavanga, you search through space with no distraction from experiences and time or any physical forces to your mind to attain or acquire a situation with its unique or its own behavior, situational behavior. That's my definition for nga. In general, in Tongan language, nga in general refers to situational behavior. And then that's its general or broader sense. Its narrow sense, nga refers to cry. For women, not for men.
So men don't nga.
No, you can't say for men to nga. Yeah? Nga is for female, you say nga. And you have a Tongan word for female again, that nga is there, is ngafa. Yeah? Ngafa, you shouldn't say to men, you're ngafa, you're fatongia, that's obligation. That's a word for female, for women.
So you're saying that nga comes from ngafa, which is women's work.
Yeah, nga you can find in the word ngafa or obligation, but it's a female obligation, you call it ngafa. And that's why I meant nga is a word, in that narrow sense of nga, to cry, it's used for women. Yeah? You have ngafa, you have what's the other word? Ngafa, you have avanga. Eh? For us to make it clear, bringing the related words.
So terms only referring to women, it's only in the female sense that...
Yeah, avanga
is like a
was a
female
word for bipolar disorder, young females.
females.
Yeah?
Nga for a cry of females.
Yeah.
Ngafa, the
And
female...
avanga, nga on that avanga is unconscious mind. That's what avanga means. Unconscious mind in space of a female. Yeah? Or a cry of a female, crying of a female in space.
Which you think is not...
unconsciously, they are not really conscious. They are.
So you're not saying that that's the meaning of Vavanga. If we term it to female, then
no,
it's not.
Vavanga is different. Vavanga takes the general sense of nga, which is situational behavior. And a lot of Tongans words take nga in its general sense, the situational behavior. But not many words use the nga in the narrower sense, the crying sense of nga. You only find it in certain words like avanga, ngafa. So we have to be careful with the broader and the narrow sense. I think Dr. Mapa uses Avanga to both genders, to female and male. But it wasn't the case before. It was for female, for young female. Avanga was a word when they face bipolar disorder, illness.
Or some disorder anyway.
Or some
which affected
disorder.
them.
It's a temporary. Avanga was not a long-term sickness. It comes and goes. It's
A depressive
time.
illness.
Yeah, it's like in the category of depression. But my book discusses that and try to put into perspective and to the right place the term Avanga, the term Vavanga, the term Ngafa. Fatongia is the general term for male and women. Fatongia is obligation. But Ngafa, we have some special words for women only, and Ngafa for women. I have heard a lot of people talking about Ngafa o tangata, Ngafa of men. No, that's for women.
So we'll come back from that to our discussion today about Vavanga. You know, contemplation, time doesn't mean anything during this Vavanga time. You're in contemplation, there's no time limit. You're just there to focus on trying to get an answer to something that you want to know.
Yeah.
So once you think that Vavanga is done, you come out of that contemplative, silence or alone time
That's right.
back into real time. That's when real time happens, when
Yeah.
all that's finished.
Yeah, Aristotle explained in his study of rationality, which he said rationality is the only attribute that belongs to humankind. The only one that we possess, that no animals, no living things or nature possess it, only us.
So you're saying that, Siwa, in
No, I just bring that into our talk.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, for Vavanga. Because
Right.
why I refer to Aristotle, because he talked about rational contemplation. Yeah?
Okay. All right.
And in his sense is similar, not exactly the same with Vavanga. Yeah? And Immanuel can talk about rationality, bring that into our discussion. He said it's a sacred activity or event, a rationality for Kant. Yeah? And Professor Inoke Huakau added in his talk and his idea and his forward that Vavanga is eternal, close to another philosopher through hand that I discussed here. Yeah? And for me, Luseane, Vavanga to add in is a sacred. Add into Kant and Huakau's perspective. Vavanga is sacred for me. It's very similar to these sentences that they explain about rationality or rational contemplation, and also to Nietzsche. Nietzsche talks about art, especially dance, performing art, as a divine service. So divine service for Nietzsche, sacred service for me, in the sense of Vavanga. And my main reason, because you are there by yourself, in serenity, in your wholeness, and think and rethink and search and talk to yourself. We call it in Tongan religion, talaloto. You talk to yourself. That's Vavanga. That's part of Vavanga. You just talk. Vavanga is not a group. It's not a communal activity. It's an individual. That's the time that you are with yourself, by yourself, think and talk to yourself.
But I think the sense of talaloto is in the religious sense, it's someone that stands up in a church and says how he feels. In a group.
Not talaloto, lauloto.
Yeah, that's better.
Sorry, yes. Thank you. It's lauloto, not talaloto. Yeah. You can in church you can talaloto by yourself in the silence, and you can talaloto to the audience.
Thank you, Siwa. I'd like you to talk about distinction between the truth of facts and the truth of reasons.
Yeah. So when it comes, in the overview here, we come from contemplation in Vavanga, in the serenity, in the silence, to the world of philosophy here, where truth of facts and truth of reasons are fundamental. That's why I mentioned there we are not only dealing with philosophical contemplation, but we come to, because in philosophy, in its development, we talk about truth of facts and truth of reasons. Yeah? Those two phrases. And give you an example. A lot of philosophers, Leibniz, I mentioned, that's from Leibniz, and especially Leibniz, that's his term, truth of facts and truth of reasons. William James talk about that as well from a pragmatic point of view. Anyway, truth of facts, they are truth lucid, like square, for example. Philosophers, they talk about this in the beginning, Pythagoras and them. Like, for example, square, triangle, in geometry, they are truth of facts. Yeah? You don't have to explore them or to explain, oh, that's a new knowledge. That thing is circle, it's a circle, it's a sphere. No, they are already there. They are truth of facts. Yeah? And then we come to truth of reasons, the truth that your cognition suggests. Yeah? You share and you say, oh, if we add one and another one, it's going to equal 2. Yeah? If the apple falls from the tree, it's going to go down, go downward. Those two examples can be truth of facts and truth of reasons, because truth of reasons you can explain and interpret and create a theory from the apple falling downwards. Yeah? When
Like
the
Newton.
apple dropped, Newton's theory. Yeah? And when you say 1 plus 1 equals 2, it's a truth of facts, but also a truth of reasons, because you can create a formula and multiply more and divide more, and you can create a theory, a truth of reasons from that truth of facts. You can treat them separately and you can develop one from another. But that's what I meant there, Lucy. Yeah, you can continue, just ask as we go from sentence to sentence,
I want to go to the themes that you mentioned here of Albert Camus,
So,
the myth of Sisyphus. And this is something, Siwa, that's talked about a lot. Various reasons, various, I guess, interpretations of the myth of Sisyphus. I've heard people say that myth of Sisyphus is about a man who never learned. But of course the reason is not that, So can you talk about the myth of Sisyphus first, before Plato's allegory?
of the game.
Yeah. So talk about the Stoic, Albert Camus's myth of Sisyphus first, as why you've included it in your Vavanga theory.
Yeah. you and I, we talk about the myth of Sisyphus a lot.
A lot.
Yeah, and in the sense that we always learn from this myth. Yeah? And Albert Camus, the one who dwelled into this myth, and Sisyphus with his own interpretation. Yeah. My interest on the myth of Sisyphus, it's basically but Camus' story, there is always this smile.
He has a smile.
You thought that he is
This is hard work. And
hard work
stressful.
and he's a insane person, because that's his punishment for.
Because he's doing eternity.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no end.
Gods,
there's no end to this up and down.
But why I use it, because of that smile in his face, which for me implies that Sisyphus sees something beyond the hill that no one can see. And I equate it to Vavanga. I equate it to contemplation. In contemplation, that no one can see. And we repeatedly doing this exercise or practice or whatever, there is a hope that you can see new things. And you can smile because of Sisyphus sees something that we didn't know of. And that's why I use the myth. With our belief that Sisyphus, that the myths of Sisyphus, we can see things beyond the hero of Sisyphus, as Sisyphus did. At the end of the book, Sisyphus, Camus said, Sisyphus was just smiling up and down on the hill. Yeah? Maybe he smiled for other reasons, but we have our different interpretations.
And I also feel that this tells a story of the human condition,
Certainly.
This is, our life isn't easy, but every day we do it, we wake up. Through all the difficulty, we do it.
Yeah.
And I think if we understand that that is the way life is and accept, then it doesn't become, that's why we see Sisyphus, because even though he's doing this every day, rolling this hill, but he's, it's a condition. He's conditioned to do this and to do this work. And if you do it, how they say, if you do the work in a better mood than a sad mood, it's easier. So maybe that smile it makes that boulder not as heavy, that big stone. He knows that at the end he'll get it up the hill, even though the next morning it's down the hill again.
Yeah.
But as he's going up the hill, he knows that there's going to be an end to this job. I'll get it up the hill. It's done today. Because we wake up every day with new conditions to our life.
Yeah.
With stresses to our lives.
Yeah.
We don't wake up and think, all the stresses in my life have finished for the rest of my life. A new life begins tomorrow with no sadness, no hardship, no. We are going to expect that there's going to be the same, and people will say, well, that's life. That saying, that's life. We don't expect anything else from life, so...
And also, Lucy, I want to add another point that I talk about in the book. Experience, his daily experience of up and down on the hill, for him is nothing. For us, maybe if it's myself, I will complain.
Maybe it's not easy for Sisyphus, because
I will cry, but what I'm trying to say, his daily experience of pushing up and going down with the boulder,
it's difficult.
Makes no sense for him. He doesn't care about his experience. And the other point, he doesn't care about the time. Time has no place in this event, in this activity of Sisyphus. Time, he didn't care. He didn't know, what day is, what night, what time. He was just up, and that's why it relates to Vavanga.
I think there is a time here, Siwa, because it says every day. So he gets it up there. He gets his job done every day. So there is a time limitation for a daily time limitation because he's doing this pushing uphill every day. So I guess there is a time limitation that he gets it up there. By the end of the day, he finishes. He finishes his job. So I guess there is a time limitation to Sisyphus, but he does it. He doesn't stop halfway and say, "Oh, that's it. I've had enough for the day. I'm not doing this for the rest of the day." No, he gets that rock up to the top of the hill.
He just pushes up and down.
Yes.
He's going to do it again, again. That's why I said his experience in doing that, and the time were nothing. The time didn't determine in his experience what he's doing. Likewise, in the case of Vavanga, time and experience for me, in my view, in the book, are less. The Vavanga transcends or override time and space. They are there, and time in particular, or maybe we'll come to time. Time is not a natural phenomenon for me. In the book, time is a social product.
I'd like you to comment on Plato's allegory of the cave. Why you brought that in. I know that, it's nearly the same look as Sisyphus, but, what's your inclusion? What's your reason for including?
It's similar to the inclusion of myth of Sisyphus, but it's more clear in the allegory of the cave of Plato, because the prisoners, when they escaped or when they got out from within the cave, they were just facing the shadows, the shadow. So when they escaped, this is what Plato meant ignorance. You see your shadows every day, they are not real. And when you move outside and found out finally that the real actions is outside, not in the shadows, then Plato said, you are moving from ignorance to enlightenment. And that's why I included his myth here, Plato's myth, because in Vavanga, you're moving from this world to find enlightenment in the serenity of your tranquility of your time in Vavanga. For me, that's the moment where you can bring enlightenment to the world. A lot of religious leaders, a lot of philosophers, they were in Vavanga, they were in Halaevalu, they were in contemplation. And Luseane, the ideas and the wisdom that they have brought from the time of their daily or weekly or monthly contemplation, they are the ideas that have enlightened and have led us and have created human civilization for many centuries. That's the power of contemplation, the power of Vavanga. And it's like what Plato, that's why I included Plato's allegory of the cave. They are the two myths that guide the progress and the development of the book. The myth of Sisyphus and Plato's allegory of the cave.
And I think we will come to, because this has been the meat of the preface that we've just been Professor has been talking about. And as we go on, as we review this book, because this is a process of review, I think you'll get to, as we go on, people will get to understand Vavanga and the reason why you wrote this book. And maybe just more discussions. We'll have group discussions sometimes, of those who have read the book once it's out.
And we'll talk in Tongan.
Yes.
We'll Tonganize this program in the end.
Yes. But I think this is a great beginning to talk about the overview of the preface. So thank you, everyone. Before we go, is there anything else you'd like to add? Or we'll just finish off here and then maybe in the next week or so we'll
Yeah,
go to
I agree.
another.
I agree, Luseane. You are the one who arranged and organized this this Vavanga to Antiquity, this Contemplation to Antiquity program, and I'm just I think maybe I'll just say one more thing, one more point. I would like to thank you for organizing this program, and I'm so excited and I'm so happy, Luseane. I'm in climatic euphoria when I finishing and writing, in this point of finishing writing this book, compiling. I'm in the process of compiling everything to put into publication. But I'm so happy. Mainly, I have completed writing the book. The foundation of the book was begun in 1999. Yeah? That's when we formed the Lo'au Research Society. And that's when I started my attention was taken by the Lo'au and Vavanga, because Lo'au were one of the lineages, or the main lineages who developed Vavanga. Yeah?
They were the lineage to develop.
Yeah. So 1999, Lo'au Research Society up to Lo'au University, the speed intensifies in doing research on Vavanga and the Lo'au together. So brought into perspective Her Majesty Queen Salote, her artworks, performing artworks anyway. But I'm so happy and excited. I'm excited because I completed the book. I'm also happy and excited, Luseane, at the same token, because I have come across new ideas which have urged me and encouraged me to take this one as volume 1 and to write volume 2, maybe after a few years from now or so. Yeah.
Well, another 25 years, I guess. It took you 25 years to get to this point, from when Lo'au Research Society started. So I guess that's timely, Siwa.
Yeah.
25 years for a book is a good thing.
But the difference is this one I already have the foundation of everything.
And I know you have other books that are standing
Yeah,
waiting
I
to
have
be
2 more books
written,
to complete.
which have to be done. I think I'd like that you to go to, the book on your thesis of Whatongia
I have started
in the Tongan language. I think that's the next book.
Yeah,
Yes.
in translating it
Yes.
into Tongan language.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm so happy, and I would like to thank you for leading and conducting this program, and for those of you who is watching or will be watching this program, please feel free to ask questions. And I finally, Luseane, before I quit here, I show my respects to all our philosophers and scholars in the Tongan and Moanan context circles, and also because I'm a member of about 30 pages of group of philosophers in Facebook. And I have shared my work, some articles on this with them. Now, I will continue I'll share this to them. There are different philosophical and different educational groups that I'm a member. And I would like to thank you for accepting all my previous posts, trying to share with you the Lo'au works, and particularly my works on this book. I will share you this, and I will share you more. I look forward for your feedback. But thank you, Luseane. MALO.
The Contemplative Pathway for Humanity. Siosiua's book that's coming out hopefully here, September, October. So, but we will let you know as we go along. Thank you for watching this program this afternoon. Take care, look after yourselves, and be kind to one another. MALO.
MALO abito. Ofat.